Dave's friend Len, and I'm doing this unboxing for him. Dave is behind on his Christmas shopping, so this will give him more time. Now, this is Europa Universalis. It's a grand strategic game of the world from 1492 to 1792, essentially from Columbus to the French Revolution. It's published in France. Now, I first saw this on the back of an issue of Strategy and Tactics, so I sent in the money. A couple months later, I'm sitting there going, I haven't gotten the game yet. Maybe I should look into it. As luck would have it, the next day, the envelope came back. It was returned to me. No forwarding address. Oh, well, these things happen. Got my money back. As luck would have it, that weekend, I just happened to pass through a game store, and there it was on the shelf, all in its glory. So I naturally had to buy it. Now, the first impression I got when I looked on it, especially on the map of the New World, this is Conquistador on steroids. Now, Conquistador was a magazine game published by Strategy and Tactics in the mid-70s. It's a combination of conflict, empire building, economics, and diplomacy. It was very popular. I played it so many times with so many different people. So naturally, I'm not surprised someone has borrowed the basic ideas and then improved on it. In this one, you don't worry about costly European wars because you fight them out. So you have two maps. You have a map of Europe. These are all divided into various regions, provinces or something, with a value, income value. Then you have the rest of the world map, which is the Western Hemisphere, Africa, Asia, plus also the Spice Islands, like Indonesia. Now, I want to show you some. I like the counters in this one. First of all, you have four types of counters for the human. Here are examples of the conquistadors. They lead battles in the New World. And then there's a type where they have, sometimes on the back, other types. There's admirals, there's explorers, there's generals. And they have all the great ones from this period. Over here, some of the French guys. The only problem with this is sometimes you get mixed up over. You have to flip through a lot of them to get the right ones. It has the maneuver, fire combat, shock combat, and the numbers on the side was what turns come in and what turns they come out.
Is this a Richard Berg? This isn't a Richard Berg game, is
no.
it? I just had to ask because you said shock combat. That's a term he uses a lot.
Yeah. Well, maybe these French guys do it. Now, you have things like, here's an example of a fleet. You put it out there to control this ocean. Okay, you might have I like a nice big counters. This is an army. And also you flip over, it's at half strength for both of them.
All right.
Okay, and you have fortresses and outposts. This is an example of a fortress. And outposts, sometimes, depending on the scenario, sometimes you can only build outposts. So, now, you're going to love this. After the counters, we have the rules of play. Now, mind you, there's 71 of them, but you only need like about 22 pages to read. Scenario annexes are a list of political events and economic random events. These look very confusing. They give you an idea of like how many forces you're allowed. This is the sequence of play. Now that looks daunting until you realize that most of the time you don't do most of that stuff. And then the scenarios.
How many scenarios are in the game?
You have 20 battle scenarios. And these are the ones, after you read the first 20 pages, these are the ones you go into. And you have, actually they should put them first. Some of them are like 1 turn long. Each turn represents about 4 years, and you have rounds of combat. And after 3 turns, you roll a d10. If it's less than the number of rounds, the turn ends. So you have anywhere from 3 to 11 turns to do your mischief. And then with these battle scenarios, a lot of them are just, land combat, so you can skip the naval rules. And you have like the 30 Years' War in 8 turns. I want to mention, actually, I like these so much that a lot of times I don't buy strategic games on the subject because there wouldn't be any improvement over this. Then you have the solitaire scenarios where you either, you run one national colonial activities. Here you have one for Spain, for Portugal, for the Netherlands, Russia, and even the United States. There's a 2-turn one, 2 turns for the American Revolution with special scenario. And then you have the grand scenarios, grand campaign scenarios. Now these I haven't tried. Their advantage is that the this period can be divided up into smaller ones. For instance, the first one is 1492 to 1519, which a lot goes on in the world in those few years. So that's only about 5 turns. That was a very busy time. In the grand campaign, you have to deal with a lot of stuff. You have decisions on what investments to make, whether to rebuild your armies, whether to set up colonies, whether to invest in industry to increase your income, which may or may not happen, and other little expenses all over the world. Of course, naturally, you never have enough money to do everything you want, so you have to make decisions. And of course, if you've got the time, you can play the grand scenario, which is 60 turns, which will keep you very busy. So, I like this game. I played a lot of the battle scenarios so many times, and a few of the solitaire campaign scenarios. It'll look daunting at first because you've got 2 big maps, lots of counters, lots of playbooks, but they were very good at putting in smaller scenarios to get you started. So, outside the fact this is a translation from French, and sometimes it seems like Inspector Clouseau is doing the translating, it's clearly understood. I had fewer problems with this rule system than I did with other games, even though sometimes it seems like one idea is in a different spot. So, but once you highlight it, you can always come back to it. Okay, and well, that's it. There was a computer version of this that I got, which is strangely, takes forever to buy anything, and your enemy armies tend to move faster than you do.
So you like the board game version better?
Yeah, I thought that if there's a computerized game, this would be simpler in the paperwork, but it seemed like I had all sorts of problems with the computer game. So.
All right, thanks, Len.
All right, now you can go grocery shopping.